Ross Perot barged onto the stage of national politics in 1992 when he ran for president against George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton. He spent over $63 million of his own money on the campaign and even bought 30-minute television spots using charts and graphs to illustrate how to increase jobs and fix the economy.
Everybody west of the Mississippi that sends income taxes into the Internal Revenue Service, their taxes are used just to pay interest on the federal debt. They don't buy anything for you. They don't buy anything for your children. They don't do anything to build roads, bridges, better schools, make the streets safe, pay interest on the debt. We've got to cut it out.
The American people had never seen a presidential candidate explain issues straight to them like this. One of Perot's most famous positions was his opposition to NAFTA. Bill Clinton and his class promised that NAFTA would increase good-paying jobs, but Perot warned that the opposite would happen and that millions of jobs would leave the country.
And you don't care about anything but making money, there will be a giant sucking sound going south.
Now, Perot wasn't the only one to be against NAFTA. In fact, thousands took to the streets to protest that it was a corporate giveaway. But Perot brought that criticism of NAFTA to the primetime debate stage, and millions of Americans were allowed to hear it. As we know, Bill Clinton won that presidential election, and NAFTA was instituted in 1994, but it turns out Perot was right. 20 years later, it was estimated that NAFTA cost the U.S. over 1 million jobs. Perot also capitalized on the public's distrust of the two-party system.
The dollar's gone through the floor. Now, whose fault is that? Not the Democrats, not the Republicans. Somewhere out there, there's an extraterrestrial that's doing this to us, I guess. And everybody says they take responsibility. Somebody somewhere has to take responsibility for this.
Perot ended up winning 19% of the popular vote that year, the largest percentage of votes for a third-party candidate since Roosevelt won 27% in 1912. But ever since this moment, no third-party candidate has been allowed into the presidential debates. In fact, during Perot's second run for president in '96, he was shut out of them. Whether or not you're a fan of Ross Perot, you have to admit that the fact that he was on that debate stage won him a lot of votes. And on TV, people could hear from the third-party candidate himself, instead of hearing from the corporate media talking about the third-party candidate. Perot showed the American people that they had options, that they didn't have to choose between the two corporate-owned parties, and that anyone could make it onto the debate stage. Oh, excuse me. Any billionaire could make it onto the debate stage. Still, he showed, perhaps inadvertently, just how financially rigged the system is. It was only because he happened to be a billionaire that Perot was able to spend this fortune on those primetime infomercials. Because he exposed the American public to his views, he was able to collect enough signatures to land on the ballot in all 50 states. It's time to recognize the legacy of Ross Perot, especially now, at a time when a majority of American citizens, 57%, believe that an alternative to the two parties is necessary. In Washington, Michele, Greenstein, RT.